bike tours, the weddings, the podcasting. That's all just like my time and energy is what's really, like I've got bikes, of course, and I've got a recorder for my recording gear. But other than that, to actually do the work is just my time and energy. And so I just try to sort of be in a flow with that and be authentic and use technology to deliver an analog experience.
Cool. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a beautiful, hot day here. It was like, the forecast is for it to hit 100 today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, but it was really exciting. I was just sort of, this morning I was at home and brushing my teeth and looking out the back window, and we have a big spruce tree in our backyard. And I was like, wow, that's a really big or scruffy looking squirrel. And I went outside and there was a bear up in the tree.
Of course.
A huge, like, cinnamon colored bear.
Wow. Yeah.
Which I've named Bon Scott, who was the original lead singer of AC/DC. And because I just went with like cinnamon bear, Cinnabon.
I like it. Scott. So does your place like back up onto the mountains or something?
No. I live just like in a neighborhood just east of Broadway, like in South Boulder, between Broadway and Tantra Park. But there's like a farmer's ditch that comes down from the lake that's over by like Fairview High School. It's called Veely Channel, and it's usually just a trickle, except when it's pouring rain. Yeah. But it goes under Broadway, so it's like a major, like, animals use it as like a transit route. And then there's a bunch of open space to the east of us, like where the CU South campus is when you come into town.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the first time we've had a bear in the backyard. Last summer I saw a bear and two cubs across like the ditch behind our yard. So that ditch is really, it's all grown in, and it creates like a 30-foot buffer between our back fence and then our neighbor's back fence.
Yeah.
So, and it's really grown in and lush back there. So it's very private and really cool. And there's all sorts of, crazy bird life going on in there. And then we used to get a lot of deer, not so much deer lately, but I just like last same thing, like a month ago, a friend was over and I just stepped outside for a second and just looked up and was just like, oh my God, there's a bobcat up the tree.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
that is very cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Nice to have that.
Boulder.
Sweet. Sorry?
Part of the beauty of living in Boulder.
Yeah. My parents, they get giraffe in their backyard.
Oh, it's gonna be like that.
Giraffe, bears, yeah.
Right.
But it's cool.
Giraffe is pretty cool. That would freak me out.
Yeah.
If I saw a giraffe in my backyard, because that would be
that would be a little bit out of place.
I mean, did you just grow up seeing all sorts of different animals? Like that was like a thing. Like you didn't go to the zoo, you lived at the zoo.
Well, we've got like a little nature reserve close to our house, and so like the fence is just gone from that, and so the animals have kind of like gone a bit like exploring a bit. So it's not it's not normal actually. Like so, but yeah, I mean, just like holidays and stuff would often just be going to game parks and stuff and camping, and you kind of wake up and find like a hippo has walked through the campsite, or there have been elephants and stuff, which is a little bit hairy but kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would love to go to to go. Like it feels like in a way such a touristy thing to do, and like a ridiculously expensive touristy thing to do. But
no way, man. You can do it
you got to
like
see the.
you can do it on a budget. Like, I mean, you could go and stay with my parents.
And just hang out in your backyard.
Yeah, exactly. But no, really, like I did this. I mean, obviously I knew people who, I think I talked about this in my Ignite talk. I like did a canoe trip down the Zambezi River. And obviously I had friends who had the equipment and stuff, but it was like a 5-night trip or something. And it cost me like $100, $200. It's just
right.
And it's just like a life-changing experience. So there's ways to do it on the cheap, kind of like if you can get in with the locals and look at the local rates kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
that's good to know.
Yeah, the flight is the big
ready,
cost, right? The flight is the big cost.
Yes.
But I mean
when I'm ready to make that move, I'll hit you up for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's definitely something I like to do. It's cool, isn't it? Like living in a place that people spend, like some people dream their whole lives of going on that safari. They save, they spend thousands of dollars, and they like do it for the 10 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's just in my backyard. I feel like that when I drive into the mountains here, it's just like, people like their whole year. This 1 week is their whole year.
Yeah.
And we just get to live here. It's pretty cool.
It's funny how
very grateful for that.
Yeah, well, and sometimes you just adjust to it, right? So you're always wanting more. And actually you go, like, I think it's times when I've been away from home and then I realize, oh wow, like everything I took for granted there's so many things that are just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's important to just remember to look around and be like, this is pretty cool. I'm pretty fortunate to be alive and in this beautiful place.
Yeah, no, that's so good. Awesome. So should we get cracking? We're gonna start. I
thought we already were.
Yeah, we are. But with the challenge.
Oh, the challenge. Okay, first of all, let me I think I need to mirror the video, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And it says it's mirroring my video. So that's being done.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see how this goes. I had trouble with this when you were teaching me last week.
Yeah.
Or was it 2 weeks ago now? But just to give you a sense of the kind of student I've always been, I didn't really start working on it until about 12:30 this morning.
Love it. I love it.
But I put a good almost 2 hours in.
Nice.
I stayed up way late. I watched several videos on YouTube, and it's just like the instructional videos. Like it's such a pet peeve of mine because I feel like I have a good mind for I would be great at writing like technical how-to manuals because inevitably somebody always skips or just like glosses over. Like there was one guy, he was perfect. He was super dapper. He was like it was a really cool video.
Yeah.
And then like the key crux thing, he was just like, oh, and then you just do this. Or another person was like, I just couldn't, I don't know. I also feel like I have a very we all have some sort of learning disability, right? Or something like that. And for me, like left, right, looking in a mirror, knots, which way is going where, what fold, that I've always had a very difficult time with that anyway.
Yeah.
So then, but then there was one video where there was one key step that the guy like spelled it out, and it was like,
oh really? What was that? What was the step?
I'll show you when we get to it.
Okay,
so here we go.
So start with the things level. The
level.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to adjust that, but just like level, and then I'm gonna have your palms up so I can see when to start. Okay, you ready for this?
Oh, right. That's right. I'm being timed.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, okay. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll tell you how to edit it out later if you need to.
Awesome. All right. Ready?
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me just think about this for a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
The time to beat is like, I think I can't remember exactly. It's like 1 minute 25 seconds or something. So
I haven't started yet. I've never timed myself, but I'm encouraged. That sounds beatable.
Yeah. I think it's doable. I think it's doable.
Oh my God. I'm really expecting to win like the race to the bottom on this.
All right,
Okay.
sweet. Okay, ready? Go.
It's not going to happen this time. And then this was the part. Fold to the right, flap to the left.
Okay.
The guy said that, and it was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then this is the hard part because the screen is not a very proper mirror, but
you got a good loop there that you're pushing it through.
I know. It feels. I think I messed it up, but what? Wait.
And when you're sort of satisfied to go in public with it, then you can put your hands up to stop.
My standards are very low. I mean, look at me already.
Nice. 1 minute 18 seconds.
I'm in first place.
I think so.
Wow. I did not expect to do that. How's it look?
Yeah, that looks good.
Wow.
Like pretty symmetrical. Nice.
I had all sorts of life lessons ready to share based on my failure at this, but I guess I have to save those.
No, the bar was set really low by Carl, who was on here previously. Yeah, he got 1:27 was his time. So,
wow.
Yeah,
someone's got to beat that.
Yeah, yours is, I'm going to round it up to 1:19.
I will say that the one thing that was in common through all of the videos was, and this is where I was like, what I felt gave me some room to like relax, was that don't make it perfect because you want people to see that you tied it yourself.
Oh yeah, nice.
You know, it's like the Moroccan rug, like they deliberately screw up one.
What's that?
Perfect. In Morocco, they were like the Berbers, they would weave the rugs, but they would always make sure to like do a stitch off or something, like just in one spot, just so that it wasn't
too perfect. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice going.
Thank you.
Great.
So I'll just leave it on.
Whatever you're comfortable with, you can untie it. You're gonna have to tie. You're gonna have another 2 tries if you want. So sort of.
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty happy with this.
Nice.
It was funny because I came into the office. I was up till 2:15 doing this. I didn't really have. I had a few times where it's like I could live with that.
Yeah.
And then I was planning on coming in. I had an appointment early this morning, and then I was going to come in and practice a little bit. But then the bear in the tree, like all I wanted to do was just watch the bear. So it became like all of my other mornings where I show up like 7 minutes before the thing starts and somebody's here at the office, and I'm like, I'm gonna try this. Maybe I picked it up in the like when I slept.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I went and I tried it one time this morning before this, and it was like, okay, I've got it.
Amazing.
I think I got
Sleep
it.
is amazing like that. Like I'm reading a
Yeah.
book on sleep at the
I
moment,
know.
and it's crazy what your brain just like, okay, figure this out.
I should really try it more often.
Yeah, I think all of us.
It's been a big, I mean, I've always enjoyed being a night owl and an early bird. And as much as I love to take naps, I don't do it.
Oh no, yeah.
So I'm always like sleep deprived to some extent, but
Yeah.
but during the pandemic, I really started staying up late,
Oh really? Yeah, I think it was tough,
like
right?
much
'Cause
later,
were you just working from home?
mostly.
Yeah. Yeah, so
But
there's
even
just like
now,
there's no separation, and it's just yeah.
there's no separation, and there was no, I don't know what it was, but I just, I didn't, I know that there was definitely a pandemic insomnia thing,
Hmm.
but it wasn't insomnia. It was just like not being able to bring myself to go to sleep in the first place. Not because I was awake, forcing myself to stay awake even. That
Yeah.
was the weird part.
Yeah.
Oh, one more song, or let me read one more article, or watch
Dude,
one more whatever, and just like
doom scrolling was real.
doom scrolling. There was even a doom scrolling lady on Twitter who
What?
would who you would come, if you followed her, she would just show up in your feed and be like, hello, are you still doom scrolling? Maybe it's
Wow.
time for you to turn it off for the night and take care of yourself and go to bed and maybe read a little book for a little while and have some
Yeah,
tea and rest your eyes and
that's
think
actually
about something positive before you go
yeah,
to bed,
that's actually
you know,
amazing.
or at least, but at the very least, sit up straight and have good posture.
Yeah, that is gold. That's amazing. Oh man.
Problem for me is that she would always show, I would like go into Twitter and she'd be like the second person that would show up in my feed. And it's like, I haven't even started yet, lady.
Yeah, yeah.
Come back in half an hour.
She's too popular. She's too popular.
Exactly. Like, come back in 20 minutes when I need you.
Man, crazy.
But yeah, I just stay up late. I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah. Huh. I found for me like I like have the strict routine, and then because I kind of burn out almost, like I just sleep later and later and later, and I just like struggling throughout the day, and then I'm like, screw it. Like I just don't work for a week or something, like take a holiday or something, and then when I get back, I'm like strict, and then I'm
Right.
probably more productive. But because I'm more productive, more stuff starts happening. So like more people are in touch with me, and then so I have all these kind of, I guess, responsibilities of like, oh, I need to do this for this person, this for this person, and those things like push me. I like, oh, just a little bit later. It's not really myself, but it's normally like doing stuff for someone else. And like, oh, I still need to do that for this person, and then it just creeps later and later and later, and then yeah, and then the whole cycle starts again.
Yeah. No, I had a good little reset. I went to Mexico for a few days after I got vaccinated, and that was nice to just relax. Though I didn't even sleep in there.
Yeah,
I could have, but I just didn't. I just get up and I just want to, I don't know.
yeah,
I had one morning where I just laid there, and I'm definitely good at sitting in a chair and just staring at the ocean. I can do that for a really long time. That's very relaxing and calming to me, but it's not sleep.
yeah, yeah. Right. Sleep is something special. So you're doing all sorts of things that's keeping you up late. You've got so many different things you're working on. You've got your podcast, your DJing, your wedding officiating, your bike tours.
Yeah.
In all of these, how do you think about creativity? what does like creativity mean to you? Have you got some sort of definition?
I guess for me, it just means, I don't know, following your senses in a way. Like, I guess for me, I've really become in the last few years, really interested in photography.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, I see. Because are you posting daily? Do you post?
I try to post daily to Instagram. Yes.
Okay.
And that, I started doing that because I left Facebook a few years ago, and I realized that the one thing I really missed from Facebook was sharing pictures, looking at other people's pictures and sharing pictures. And so Instagram is really like a way to do that without all the angst of Facebook, and it's just easy. It's less hooky for me. It's easier for me to just walk away from Instagram and go get on with my day.
Okay.
And so, and there are incredible photographers on Instagram. So there's a lot of inspiration there.
Yeah.
And I just decided to post a photo a day just as an exercise in kind of bringing me back, keeping me, because when you take a picture a day, when you have a goal of taking a picture a day, it requires you to pay attention to what's going on around you, to look around you a little more. And a friend of mine actually posted something. He's in New York, and he posted something on Instagram just a few weeks ago. Like, he's a really interesting guy, and he and his wife have raised these two incredibly crazy artistic daughters, and they do all this cool artsy stuff in New York all the time. Like, they're making full use of that, being in that city. And like, one of their neighbors died, and he was an artist, and he left behind all his sketchbooks and everything. And so they've been just like going through all his sketchbooks and drawings. And he was just talking about how this guy kept like years and years of like drawing every day and just like active seeing. And that phrase, active seeing, really like kind of jolted me in a way, because it's like, yeah, active seeing. That's the thing of just like, not just looking around you, but paying attention to it. And so I guess that's, for me, I think in a way that's sort of like the part of what drives my creativity, is just like seeing the world around me and taking pictures of it, or talking about it, or just getting a feel for people and what they want to do, and expressing that through music or through a wedding ceremony or even a bike tour. And just trying to live in an artistic way that's not where you can, because really we're in a time now where you can really, if you can, you can really like write your own story. You can do things your own way. The rules don't apply as much anymore. So it's really just kind of making things up as you go along and trying to just be authentic about it.
Yeah.
I think I went in a lot of different directions with that answer, but that's like these businesses that I'm involved in, the bike tours, the weddings, the podcasting. That's all just like my time and energy is what's really, like I've got bikes, of course, and I've got a recorder for my recording gear. But other than that, to actually do the work is just my time and energy. And so I just try to sort of be in a flow with that and be authentic and use technology to deliver an analog experience.
Okay. Interesting. What do you mean by an analog experience?
Well, I'm of an age where, I grew up in the analog age where phones were connected to walls by wires, and you had to like get up off the couch to turn the channel on the TV. I mean, we're talking ancient stuff here.
Yeah.
Practically, barbaric. And
we had that in Zimbabwe because we were like 20 years behind the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
But then, in my like early 20s, computers started to happen. And so I kind of crossed the bridge from the analog world into what is now like a pretty digital world. And I've got a good feel for both. And I feel like the digital world is really it really lacks a lot of what the analog delivers in terms of just actual connection and personal person-to-person interaction and engagement with the outdoors and using your hands. Those are all things that like generations now, you know, you're 20, you grew up in, you have the good fortune of growing up in Zimbabwe and being 20 years behind in technology. So having some experience of that, whereas a lot of your peers who grew up here in the West or in Europe, they're like strictly digital, right? They've had a screen in their hand since before they could walk, probably.
Like the digital native.
And it really, you know, and I think that there's just a huge disconnect from the natural world and from just like these hands-on sort of things. And I think that people are discovering that, and I think people know that intuitively. They don't even really necessarily aren't aware of it, but they know something's missing. And that's why, you know, I think that's one of the reasons vinyl records are so popular again. Was because it's like, God, what's more tangible than a vinyl record? You know, where you have to get up halfway through and flip the thing over.
No, that's really cool.
You know, and more like chat stuff or talk to a human on your, you know, to get help on an internet, you know, on the internet. And I just, you know, and farm to table and artisan, people are just like craving you know, the mass produced thing, the least common denominator thing, I don't think is working for people. And it's just a matter of differing degrees of realizing that.
But what do you mean by least common denominator?
Just I guess the mainstream, just corporate, like here's the entertainment and here's the trend and here's the product and here's what you're supposed to think about it, and just sort of like the way society, at least US society, kind of functions now, just like you know, line up and wrap your mouth around the fire hose, basically, and just get blasted by the mass media and mass culture, and there's no thought to it or.
So do you think there's kind of opportunity really to, like, I mean, you're doing it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I've been saying this for a few years now, since before the pandemic. Like people are craving something analog. They don't even know it, you know? And that's what my Ignite talk was about, which was really kind of when you and I met. We like pre-met, remember? Before Ignite, we like pre-met. And but that's what I was talking about, is just like we all just live in our algorithmic bubbles, which feed back to us what we are already responding to. And it takes away that element of like real surprise and real discovery of something new. You have to really like work to claw your way out of the bubble. But it's worth it, I think, once you get out there. But yeah, I just think that there's a great opportunity to present something that people are looking for, that personal thing, especially now, as if it wasn't bad enough when we were just living in the digital age. But now we've just gone through a year and a half, some people still living through, you know, going through it in parts of the world, of just like this, you know, raging pandemic and being home and missing those connections and only communicating through something like Zoom, which is pretty flat and impersonal in the end. But very useful. Thank God we have it, right? I mean,
imagine we didn't
have Zoom. So
no, interesting. So,
you know, so I think people are just, and now I go out and people are just out in Boulder. There's just people, you know, on a Friday night, it's just people, restaurants are packed, the bars are packed, people are just out hugging, smiling, just being together again. And the national parks are overflowing. They're talking about adding a reservation system, like keeping the reservation system that they implemented last year, because people are just like, oh my God, the outdoors are amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, there's this whole world you could access, and you don't have to have an internet connection. You don't
Yeah.
have to look at a screen, and it doesn't even really cost anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Right.
there,
Yeah.
and it's just like, just to sit in your backyard and look at birds fly around is just like
It's kind of,
incredibly entertaining.
it's what we were saying, right? That you get used to stuff, and so all the stuff is just free,
Mm-hmm.
and it really took it being taken away for us to basically be like, whoa, that's where it's at. Like that's the real deal.
It's just all right there, man. I mean, and that's kind of, I guess that's just what I don't know.
Yeah,
What I've come to believe is that there's just beauty surrounding us all the time, everywhere, and you just have to open your eyes and
and what,
redefine, expand what your definition of beauty is. And
yeah, and what's like taking you down that path of like realizing that and wanting to do that? Yeah, I guess first just realizing that. Were there like certain events in your life that helped you become aware of that? I mean, you mentioned like just seeing the
when I
change.
was right. Well, I was a little kid, when I was a little kid, my mom would sign us up, my sister and me, up for art classes.
Okay.
So I did like some drawing and some painting, and I was really bad at it. And I don't remember disliking it. I don't remember really loving it. It was just like a thing I did, and I did, and then my parents divorced when I was around 10, and my mom went and traveled, and so my sister lived with my dad, who provided a great home for us and a great upbringing, but he was an engineer. And so he was like not really the art classes, just instead I played Little League, and
Yeah.
so it wasn't, I just forgot, I just wasn't in touch. Art wasn't part of my life, and like thinking about, oh, art, yes, art kind of way. And then I went to college, and then I was living in Boulder, and I was volunteering. I was like early in my volunteer days at KGNU, the community radio station here, where I've been involved for over 30 years now. And there was this girl there that I was into, and anyway, she was moving away, and she had a room up in 4 Mile Canyon outside Boulder in a house that she was trying to sublet. And so I sublet the room, and one of the guys living in the house was in the MFA art program, sculpture program at CU.
Okay.
And so there were sculptures all around the house, and a friend of his worked really big, like life-size, human plus size sculptures, and he didn't have any space for them. So a lot of those were around the yard, because we were up in the canyon on the creek, and we had all this space. And so there was all these cool sculptures all over the place.
Wow.
And then Jim, who's now like the head of the MFA sculpture program at the University of Minnesota,
Okay.
he was like, hey man, do you play softball? Like, yes, I love softball. And so I played third base for the art school softball team, and started hanging out with artists again, because what do you do after you play softball? You go out, you drink a
Yeah.
ball, and it's just like, and I'm just hanging out with artists and going to the art school, and and it was just like to hang out there. And I was like, oh right, art. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then it just started, I started noticing it more and more. And I was working in the music business for 20 years, and being around and really interested in like even though I was mostly a label manager, I was mostly interested in the creative side, working with the artist, and producing the record, and the cover and packaging and all of that, and not really so much the sales and business end of it, even though that's like the record label's job. So
Yeah.
I came to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm just like, I've been a DJ, I've been a, radio DJ and sometimes live DJ all these years. And, music is like a huge means of expression for me. Like I can't really play any instruments, but I can put some music together in a way that I can express something
Yeah.
or instill a feeling or a vibe or whatever. And I just decided that realized that I was better at presenting artists than representing them.
Okay.
And that for me to be responsible for their livelihood was not really in their, like, for a good part of their livelihood, their record sales. This is, of course, back in the day when there were record sales. And then, the business changed a lot. And I just got to a point where it was like, I'm not really serving the artists. I'm not having any fun. I'm not making any money. To get to that point, I would have to completely reinvent myself in the way I approach the music business. And I'm really just not up for that. I decided, it's like I'm more of an artist myself than somebody who should be representing and doing business for artists. And so I just need to find something else
Yeah. Was that your
and just pursue that.
was that your own business, the record label thing, or you're working for someone else?
By the end, it was it was a bit. I was a 50-50 partner in the business, but I ran it. It was the rearrangement was that I basically ran it as if it were my own. I worked at this record label for a long time, and then we broke a piece of it off, and she gave me 50% of that, and that was like my thing. Black Swan Sounds, which still exists. She took it back, and it still exists, and still an active label, which I'm really happy about. I'm glad that I was able, but I just like hit a wall one day. It was just like, I'm not making any money. I'm not having any fun.
Yeah.
As one friend said, you're in the wrong quadrant. On like the quadrant of like, you want to be up and to the right.
Yeah.
Up and to the right. And I was not.
Yeah. And what was that like for you? Like, because there you sort of spun out into its own business, and then after that you were doing your own thing. Like, did you have people in your life that had started their own businesses? Like, was that something you'd thought of, was like having a business? Or because a lot of people, it's like,
really.
go get a job. Yeah.
I'd always been a good, like, I tend to like stay at places if I'm comfortable there. Like I've been at KGNU for over, for this year will be 31 years. And I mean, that place, that's a whole story and episode unto itself about the impact that place has had on my life. But I've been there for 30 years. I worked at a company called Sounds True for like 7.5 years. And then I've got a job at this record label, White Swan, that I only expected to work at for like a year or so. And I ended up working there for like 12.5 years. And then Black Swan spun off of that. So I was like in that for a really long time. And those are really like the only two like career jobs that I've ever had. And then after Black Swan, I tried to start a human curated streaming music service called Conduit. And again, there's like trying to, use technology to deliver an analog experience, like music selected by actual humans.
Yeah.
That was short-lived. And then after that, it was like, what am I supposed to do? I can't go get a job. Like, what do I arrived at a point. In fact, I was at White Swan, and I was just like ready to pull the plug and just bail out of that company altogether, and just bail out of the music business altogether, and started working with a career coach to like start identifying like my next move. And then the owner of White Swan came to me and said, yeah, this Black Swan part of White Swan, what if you just take it? I'll just give it to you, 50%. We'll have a plan for you to like take it over and just run it like it's your own from your house. And And I was like, you know what, the energy it's going to take me to like prepare for and interview for and get a job, I might as well just work on this other thing that I've already got going.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
cool.
and that's sort of where I'm at now in that equation is like, okay, so Black Swan, that I worked on that, and then I was like, I can't do it anymore, and I was starting Conduit, so I jumped over to that. Can't do that, you know, that didn't work out. Now what am I can't like, I can't get a job. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm aged out, frankly. It's very difficult for someone my age to get a job, and that's just a cold hard fact. And I just don't feel like even going. I can't play that game. It's been so long.
Yeah.
And so to go back to your question of like, do I have any like entrepreneurial influence? Yes. My grandfather was a serial entrepreneur before that was even a thing.
Oh, cool.
And I've just realized like I've had a lot of business ideas, and some of them I've acted on, and and now here I am all of a sudden with like 4 or 5 businesses, uh and I'm like, oh yeah, Pop Dave, right? You know, and my dad, he was an engineer, and he started his own engineering firm in Miami, and and did that, and that was his thing for my whole his most of his career was like Davis Engineers. So I definitely lived around my father and my grandfather
Yeah.
were started their own thing, and my dad was a cool super. I mean, I love my dad, I miss him every day, but we weren't really, we got along great. We weren't super like, we weren't like buddies. It wasn't like
Yeah.
that. He was definitely my more a father than a friend, but he loved me, and we had a great relationship, and he was a hard worker, and I don't think I could ever be as hard a worker
Oh, wow.
as he was. Whereas my grandfather, he worked hard, but he also liked to go to the pool hall and like hang out and just
Yeah.
like, and that's kind of more my style.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
my dad, like right, like the summer before he passed away a few years back, we were talking. We were up in Vermont visiting my sister, and we were just talking. And he said, I'm always, I think that you're, because I was asking him, like, I was like, I hope I'm not disappointing you because I don't have some big career in my own business,
Yeah.
and he's like, no way, man, you're doing great. You work hard, you make people happy, and he's like, you know what? And your grandfather didn't make it big till he was like around 50. He didn't
Yeah.
really like dial it in either.
Yeah.
And so now here I am, and
That's awesome.
things aren't like, I'm still not making much money, but I'm a hell of a lot happier
Yeah.
doing a bunch of different things that again just require like my time and energy and just me being me.
Yeah.
And
Very cool.
and to just it's taken me a long time to like to find that groove, to
Yeah.
settle into that, to be comfortable with that, to not be put, to start feeling good about what the things that I have done, because I have done some cool stuff, and the things I do like tend to spread joy with those, and I think that's like an important thing these days. And so I've just like given myself the permission to just like focus on those
Yeah.
and do more of that instead of like we've all got our checklist, right? Of like, here are the things that I want to get done, need to get done. And we can tend to focus on the unchecked boxes
Hmm.
and get caught up in that. And it's like, fair enough. But also look at the check boxes. I did check some boxes off. I did do some things. I did,
Yeah.
move today.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, I think, is to just keep you know, when I was at Black Swan, one of the artists I worked with, his name DJ Drez, and he would produce his own albums, and we get this artist in LA named Steven Lopez, who's like, he's into tattoo now, but he did a lot of street art, and he did like a lot of interior design and stuff for some big people. Steven Lopez, he calls himself Slopez, which I think is a cool name. But anyway, so I would deal with Slopez for these album covers as the record label guy, and communicate with him. And his website is, and I encourage you to check it out because he did some cool stuff, is ikeepmoving.com.
Okay.
And I've just, it's been probably 10 years since maybe even 12 or so since I encountered this guy. And ever since then, that's become just sort of like a mantra of mine, is just keep moving.
That's very
especially cool. Getting to where I am in life and just realizing like I gotta like keep moving.
Yeah.
Just to like, in physical terms, just to like stay where I am fitness wise, like use it or lose it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so when I like get bogged down, find myself like staring at a screen, looking at Twitter for too long or whatever, it's just like, I just think ikeepmoving.com, and that usually,
that's amazing.
Get up and get going. But yeah, but just keep chipping away at those boxes, and not to get caught up in the unchecked ones, but to just, go easy on yourself.
That's great. Do you want to have another go at setting the record for both?
You mean, do I want to try to smash my own record?
Yeah.
I mean, I got the opportunity here to be like the guy in the arcade, right, with the video machine.
Yes.
You've got all the top scores.
Yes.
Let's see if I can untie it.
Yeah, so pull, one of the tails, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Nice, let me get my timer ready.
All right. Put a plug in for Skin Shape, great band out of London.
I love it. That's great. All right, cool.
All right, okay, is it even?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good enough. Okay.
All right, ready, go.
Fold to the right, flap to the left.
Awesome.
Critical. Where's my loop?
Yeah, your loop was a bit smaller this time. But it probably means it'll all be a bit tighter, which is good.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
No.
Not acceptable.
I'm not going to do it, am I? I can't see if it's even. There's also the fact that I'm like, can't see anymore. Yeah, I'm already way over, right?
Yeah, a little bit. That's all right. Yeah, so that time was 1:38. Just about.
138. All right.
Yeah.
So much for my video. Experiences.
But I felt like your start was stronger than the first time. Like
Yeah.
basically up to the point of getting it to the loop, and then so
it's only get it through the loop, and then it's just like
yeah, it's kind of messy. It's hard, yeah.
Kind of groping around a little bit and not sure
Yeah.
what I'm.
We maybe should have actually like recorded the tutorial that we did, because it's just amazing to see the progress.
The before and after.
It's just fascinating to see how like your movements are so much more precise. And
well, now I can see what needs to be done. It's just a matter of feeling it.
Yeah, it's amazing how learning is just incredible, right? How
yes.
Yeah, getting good at learning. Teaching.
I've never been like a school learner, that's for sure. I've always just been a do it.
Yeah.
I would benefit actually from being a little bit more of like, maybe I should just read the manual or the how-to, watch the 3-minute tutorial before just diving in.
Yeah.
But one day I'll learn.
Yeah. There's so much learning that you get from doing, though. It's really, I mean, that's in business and everything, right? So
how else are you gonna do it?
Yeah. It was interesting. You kind of talked about the like you're living with those artists and like doing a bit of art when you're young. It's a really interesting thing because it's not like you're not making sculptures now, or I mean you're taking pictures, but you're not doing any painting or anything like that. But art is such a kind of low. There's like a low barrier to entry for creating, and it's like the same. It's that same thing, like this thing in your head, or this feeling, and then you put it on paper, or you put it into like something you make with your hands, and it's the same thing that then goes into business or music or whatever. It's like that same muscle that you're using.
Yeah. Like I feel like for especially for JDs Joyrides, this e-bike tour business that I started last year, I'm sort of treating that like like, I mean, my featured tour, I don't even like to call them tours. I kind of have to, because that's what gets the SEO, and also that's kind of what people are, know and are looking for. But it's, it's not a tour, it's a joyride.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
My featured ride is the wall-to-wall Boulder mural tour.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of murals in Boulder, a lot of street art in Boulder, and I just love to like show that off. I like to look at it. It's just, it's something that's different from what the other tour companies are doing. So and I've always feel like I've got I guess that's part of my artist way, is that I feel like I've always got to do it a little bit differently.
That's what it's about, right? Yeah.
Like I just discovered, I love taking pictures and I love sharing them, and I definitely consider myself a photographer, but I have no designs on like selling anything. I just love to take pictures. And then I discovered that I could send a photo to Walgreens drugstore, and they do photo printing there, and they also will put that picture on like a greeting card.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And they also always have like 40 to 60% off discounts.
Okay.
With the code like right there on the site. You don't have to go looking for it. It's just boom, hello June for 60% off.
Yeah.
And I can get it. It's like turnaround in less than an hour. They're open till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper than going to like Walgreens to buy a pre-printed card.
Yeah. Yeah.
To like think of you and think about like what photo do I, do I like want to like share with you and get, and it just feels like a superpower in a way.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
yeah,
you know,
that's cool.
so it's just for me, it's always got to be like, no, you can't just do the thing that people expect or do the easy thing.
Yeah. So
I
what
just
what
try
what
to like do something a little bit different, to mix it up a little, to offer something a little unexpected. And so with the bike biz, I'm really just like trying to, and that's who I am. And so I'm really like trying to make that come through
Hmm.
in the bike biz. I've got mural tours. We could go ride around and look at CU. We could ride up to Chautauqua. I don't want, once you've booked me, I don't really care because it's your time. You're paying for the time.
Yeah.
And I just want you to have a great time. And
Yeah.
so whatever is gonna like give you the greatest chance of having a great time, let's just do
Yeah.
that. It doesn't have to be like what I have in mind. It
That's
doesn't even
cool.
have to be what you have in mind. Maybe we like help each other and come up with something even more creative to,
Yeah.
but it's just like, I don't know. I'm just like I like to be in the business of saying, yes, yeah, that's fun. Let's try that.
Yeah, that's very cool. So what kind of, I mean, you have like set tours with the mural tour. Do you have other like
I've
set
got I've got like the Boulder
packages?
360 tour,
Okay. How,
which is
oh,
just kind of, go
yeah.
ahead.
I was gonna say, is there like a route all the way around Boulder or?
There kind of is, but it's not technically, it's not legal to ride it all by e-bike.
Yeah,
Some of the
okay.
trails are off limits to e-bike. So, and no one's actually booked that tour yet. It's a new offering or recent
Okay.
offering. People, even
Okay.
though I've come up with some recent offerings, people still mostly book the mural tour, which I think
Mm.
is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, But now I'm like, because the mural tour is also very stop and go, but part of the fun of the e-bikes is just like, man, let's just ride these things. They're super fun to ride.
They're
So
awesome. Yeah.
I'm finding ways to like put more space in between the murals to ride more, or we get to a certain point. I'm like, how's everyone feeling? You guys want to look at some more murals? You want to go like climb some hills and then roll down them, or,
Yeah.
and people, and just kind of do what people want to do.
Yeah. Having that e-bike
Um,
is a game changer for somewhere like Boulder
it's
that's so hilly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game changer just for getting around, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also what's like been a huge part of I think, the awakening of my artistic self,
Okay.
because I was already taking a photo a day,
Yeah.
and then I got this e-bike. And so with the photo a day already, I'm looking for, things to take pictures of. And now on
Yeah.
the e-bike, I'm moving and I'm able to see much more because I'm riding all over the place because I can.
Yeah.
And maybe the pet food stores to go get the cat food is 4 miles away, but I'm gonna take the 16-mile way to get there
Cool.
just because it's fun,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna see stuff. And if it's like, oh, look up that hill, I bet I could get a really cool angle on that shot if I climbed up that hill, if I rode up that hill. I just do it. So it's just like opened up a whole new way of seeing for me, and a whole new connection to the world
Yeah.
around me, to Boulder as an urban environment, to the natural environment that that the urban environment's overlaid on, and that are all just so intertwined. um and I
It's,
just like pay attention. I find myself just paying more attention, and it's not even something I try to do anymore. It's just like I'm just looking out the window this morning, and oh, look, there's a bear in the tree. Like, if I wasn't paying attention, or if I
you could
didn't
have
catch
missed
it in
that,
a
right?
second, he's probably, you know that was 3-4 hours ago. He's probably still there.
Yeah.
He'll stay there all day until it starts to get dusk, and then he'll leave.
Yeah.
And would never know that unless I just happen to be actively looking out the window, like, what do I see? What's going on in the yard today? Or That's how I know when there's a huge great horned owl in that tree, because the crows are freaking out. You wouldn't know it otherwise, but just like,
Yeah.
just to pay, like, why are those birds freaking out?
Yeah.
They don't just freak out
Yeah.
for
What's
nothing.
going on? Yeah.
Something's going on. And just the pandemic even took that to another level of just being outside more, working in my, just like making a desk in my backyard and just working out there last summer and just watching the birds fly around and how they engage with each other and control the bird baths, or the squirrels have to go somewhere else for water. And it's amazing.
Yeah. Huh.
That's just the nature part. And then noticing like with the stuff that humans do, the ugly and the beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, like the paying attention, it's often like so easy to be like stuck in the past or like in the future, right? And then like just being present is very, it's not always easy.
Yeah. And that was a key thing for me, was like I was in a t-shirt shop, in like a metaphysical shop, like crystals and stuff like that, in Madison, Wisconsin. And I was managing a tour, a Black Swan Sounds tour with some artists. That artist DJ Drez was there, and some others. And there was a t-shirt or a wall hanging or something that said, "Don't trip over what's behind you."
Cool. Yeah.
And that just like hit me like a ton of like, wow, man, that I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing as like the unchecked boxes, like.
Did you get the shirt?
Just no, because I remembered it, and that was
yeah, that was good enough. So with the bike thing, like you're going on these rides, like I mean, you've got this new superpower. You can kind of like zip there, zip there, zip there. So what stage were you like, hey, I'm gonna get people to come along with me?
Well, the bike was a huge outlet during the pandemic. Another friend of mine has an e-bike, so we met up a lot and rode a lot, like year round.
Yeah.
Because we could get, we could hang, we could keep up with each other, and someone I've known since college, so we're really good friends, and we'd meet outdoors, and it was great. And I was really loving, I just really loved that bike. I mean, I got rid of a car. I've lost a lot of weight. I mean, I've like just changed. It's rewired me.
Yeah.
And so, and then last summer I was working from home and doing mostly podcast editing, which I enjoy, but I was also just like sitting at a desk inside on a beautiful summer day, not talking to anybody. I was antsy. I needed something. I needed a change. And I was on Instagram and I posted a bike picture or something, and somebody from a company in Utah called So Rad Rentals in St. George, Utah, liked the picture, and I was like, So Rad Rentals, huh? What's that? Because I ride rad power bikes. That's the maker of my e-bike. And sure enough, he had a rad power bike rental biz in St. George, Utah. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I would love to do that. That's something that's something I could do.
Yeah.
And I've looked at things, and I've had, come up with an idea a lot. I've had lots of thoughts like that. And then just kind of throw them on the heap of, yeah, someday I'll do that, or I'll think about that, maybe make a note, usually just nod and forget about it.
Yeah.
And this time I was just like, I just messaged the guy and said, hey, could we talk? And we jumped on a Zoom call the next day, and 90 minutes later, I was like, all right, I'm going for it. I'm going to start looking for used e-bikes at a time when you couldn't get an e-bike anywhere.
Yeah.
And somehow I was able to score 7 rad power bikes on Craigslist over the course of like 8 weeks or something.
Amazing.
And this place, Dojo 4, that here in Boulder, a software development company where I've been the resident DJ for the last 5.5 years, and that's been sort of a home base and a very hugely influential discovery for me coming here. Like as big an impact on my life as KGNU had 30 years ago. And they let me put a pod in the backyard, behind the shop right here in their parking
Okay.
spots. And so I rent a pod.
Sweet.
I've got my bikes in there and I run tours right, from downtown Boulder. There's a mural right here around the corner, a huge manatee mural.
That's your
So
meeting place? Like
that's my meeting place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically within a month, I just like, I got this idea. I just like knew like, this is right.
That's cool.
This is a great idea. And it's the perfect time for it. People want to get out. They want to be with their friends. These murals are amazing. The festival, the Streetwise Arts Festival is coming up in a few weeks. And there's going to be a whole bunch of new murals going up. Like now, this is it.
So cool.
And the universe wants me to do this because I'm able to acquire these bikes. Like when at a time when like everyone needs a bike, everyone wants a bike. Somehow I'm getting all these bikes. And so within a month, I stood the business up. I had 4 bikes at the end of the month, and I started, I had the pod, and I started in time for the Streetwise Festival 2020, which starts in the first week of September. And that was it. And so it was good. And it's just been like word of mouth and people finding out. And then I kind of went dormant for the winter, and now it's summer again, and I'm cranking it back up, and I'm getting a lot of inquiries, a lot of interest, and it's all encouraging. People are loving the tour. It's a really, I don't know, I'm biased, but it's a really good time.
Yeah.
It's a really great way to see Boulder. The murals are incredible. The art is, the art is amazing. Boulder is a super fun town to bike around in. And, and I feel like it's just something like, I don't have to sell it. I'm not selling it.
It sells itself, right?
It sells itself. Like if you enjoy riding a bike, an e-bike, if you're curious, and most people who ride, many people are e-bike curious.
Yeah.
If you like riding bikes and you think Boulder is a pretty place, a nice place to ride a bike in, which is just like an objective fact. That's not like, is it or isn't it? I could take it. It's just like, no, it is. And the murals are great. And so, so really just the wild card is like, do you want to spend a few hours with me?
Yeah.
And
you're pretty chill. So
you could find bikes. You could go look at the murals yourself if you want.
Yeah.
It's not like I invented anything. But I'm just like, I know this town in a very personal, unique way. And I have it, and just what I don't know, I have a gift or a knack or whatever you want to call it for just kind of like finding that connection, that thread with most anyone. Like I can find the thread of like, here's something that we have in common that we can, branch out from here, or get a feel for like what you're looking for, what you're interested in. And, that's doing wedding ceremonies for 15 years, most of them like custom personalized wedding ceremonies. Like that's what I bring to that, is just like being able to like talk to a couple, ask some questions, get their, hear their story, and like, okay.
Yeah.
I think this is like the essence of what they're about. Yeah. And to pour that into a wedding ceremony, or to pour it into a bike tour, so we could just have a nice morning or afternoon just hanging out together, riding bikes around, looking at art, looking at mountains and whatever. I guess
it's your analog thing, right? Like that's just very hard to automate. It's not gonna be automated
exactly
soon, right?
And so in a time where, like especially in a town like Boulder, which is like Silicon Valley Junior, I mean, it's a super tech town, as you know, and there's a lot happening here, startups and new business and innovation. And what's like one word they all have, everyone in that game has is just like scalability.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I need to be scalable.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, I need to be hyper unscalable. Like
Yeah.
it's not for everyone. And I don't even
Yeah.
try to, I just present it. Here's my art. Here's my gift. Here's my whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, my offering. This is what I can do.
And it's amazing
And
how different that is, because it's this scalable, like infinitely scalable kind of thing, and then just very niche and one of a kind, and then that's like there's demand for that, right? When like it's
right,
like, but that's the only Joel there is. It's like, and he's only got
exactly,
this many slots open this week. Either you go or you don't go. Uh,
exactly.
and it's nice for you because I don't know if you've got like your numbers on like how many rides you need to do a week for the business to work, but once you know that, it's kind of like that's all I got time for, or all I'm gonna do, all I'm
Right.
gonna do. Uh,
Yeah. And so it's just, yeah, it feels good. I've just never been a good salesperson. I've never felt comfortable, like, because when I go someplace and somebody says, do you want to buy this? And I say, no, I'm not saying try again, take another angle, drop the price, I'm just like, no, I don't want to buy it. Thank you.
yeah, yeah,
And so that's like when I ask you, like, do you want to buy this? And you say, no, thank you. And I'm like, okay, thanks anyway. Have a nice day.
yeah,
And I know that's not really how sales is supposed to work.
yeah,
Um, you know, but in the and so working in the music industry, as much as I wanted to help those artists, I'm just not the guy at the end of the day to knock down the door and be like, buy these records,
yeah, yeah,
take this. It's like, all right, well, it just isn't, I'm glad. I mean, it took me a long time to realize it,
yeah. Well,
but I realized it. And the important thing here, I think, is like that lesson of don't trip over what's behind you, and don't also like, there was another t-shirt I saw in that shop in Wisconsin that day, in Madison that day, that was something along the lines of like, um, you know, you don't have to keep holding on to something just because you've been holding on to it forever. Like, you don't have to keep holding on to that. You don't have to keep making that mistake just because you've been making it for so long. Like,
yeah,
you can stop. You can
yeah.
change your mind. You can go in a different direction, and you really, I don't know.
How has that been for you
I,
with, I mean, because you've had these different businesses, and it's you kind of like shape your life around the business and then moving on from it.
like, how does
Like,
it been? How was it like leaving the record biz after 20
yeah, and
years?
like leaving or like stopping Conduit.
Leaving the record biz was like, once I decided to do it, that I could do it, I was like, like, I don't have to keep doing it. Just because I've been doing this for 20 years
Yeah,
doesn't mean I have to keep doing it forever. And once I realized that, then it was actually, unfortunately, I was in a situation, and I have to like preface all of this by acknowledging just how fortunate I am to have been able to like experiment with things and like
mm,
mess around and fail, because I know not everyone has that opportunity. So
yeah,
I do need to acknowledge that, though I also firmly believe that no matter what situation you're in, you can always change your thinking
yeah,
about things. And if changing your thinking about things is the first step towards changing things.
yeah.
So yeah. So I just need to like have that little commercial in there.
I like it.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
but fortunately I was just like a situation presented itself where I was able to just like kind of walk away from it in a way. I had to tie up some loose ends, but basically just like someone kept the business going and I was able to just like step away, and I had no problem
Yeah.
doing that. And there were a few things that happened, like once I had Black Swan on my own, like there were a few key moments that I could turn and point to that had involved, one involved like relationships and one involved money, and another thing that I don't need to get into detail on, but it just like showed me like, yeah, this is not gonna
Mm,
work out.
okay.
You need to find something else. And so I just stepped away, and I
Yeah.
realized like, I let people know, I gave notice, all that, and a lot of the, no, there was nobody. I knew it was the right thing because it just felt right, and I was just affirmed by nobody saying, "No, you can't leave.
Mm,
Dude, you're my man. You're my label manager. Like, you
yeah.
can't leave." Like, nobody cared. Like, everyone was like, "Okay, good luck."
Yeah.
And it was just like you know, my ambivalence towards the whole thing, my long-term ambivalence about it being reflected back at me
Okay.
in a way. Like, nobody really, there's out of, worked at that in that company for a long time, almost 15 years, a lot of relationships, a lot of people, a lot of records put out, a lot of everything. And, I'm in like real contact, like back and forth. We're friends, we're in each other's lives with maybe like, less than 5 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's okay, because I
Yeah.
was, it was a part of the record industry. I was in the yoga music biz. And so I would go to a lot of festivals, and there was like the message was always like, follow your heart, pursue your dream, do what you love to do. And I was going to all these yoga festivals and loving the people. Like, the people there are fantastic. It's an incredible community, but hating the music. And there was a certain, just like, there's another side to it that just really didn't, that I could not. I was the secular guy at the spiritual festival, and there was only so far that my authenticity could carry me
Mm,
before I just started to realize like, this is just, I think my heart is telling me to not come to do something else, to find something else, to stop coming to these events and
mm,
stop
yeah.
working in this field that I don't really give a shit about, and
Yeah.
go like find the thing.
Yeah. That's
And
interesting.
so, on one hand, I wish that I hadn't spent all those years doing that, because I didn't love it. But on the other hand, whatever, at least I like got the message,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
acted on it.
Yeah. And it kind of probably helped you find the next thing in some ways, like
Yeah,
helped steer you to what
exactly.
you did want to be doing. Or,
Right.
yeah.
When we did um, when I applied for that Ignite talk for that cohort that we were in, I really didn't have much of an idea of what I was going to talk about going in, but I knew that I like new people. I was like, I'll probably, I'll get in, and then I'll figure it out. And one of the things I was thinking about talking about was just like, they say when one door closes, another one opens, but they don't tell you that you could be waiting in the hallway for a really long time, and that you actually may have to go and actually knock on a door, if not kick it
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Um, but that's definitely been a lesson that I learned, just like, because my life in my early 20s up to around 30, like, I was on this path in the record biz, and like things are going my way, and it was just like looking good. And then I decided, I needed, to move on from that one job. And then all of a sudden, like, the next like lily pad to leap to didn't appear.
Yeah.
for a
Things got hazy.
really long time.
Yeah. Huh.
And yeah, and that was hard, but then I got, I changed my thinking and things started to change. I decided that, I don't have to hold on to the mistake I've been holding on to for all these years just because I've been holding on to it for all these
Yeah.
years. I don't need to trip over what's behind me and what could have been or should have been. You know, all I have to do is worry about what's ahead of me. Or
Yeah.
not worry about it. I even hate saying that, like,
Yeah.
but just concern myself with what's ahead of me.
Yeah. Keep moving.
Yeah, keep moving. Another one of my favorite sayings is I know worrying works because everything I've ever worried about has never happened.
Yes. Amazing. Fantastic, Joel. All right. Should we finish with you having one more attempt at smashing your record? Sweet.
I'm going to smash this record. What's your bet? Is it going to be a better time than the first one or a worse time than the last one?
I think if you don't, I think you could get sub 1 minute. All right. Ready and go.
Oh. That's a little now. I lost it.
Oh, you're so close. No worries. That was close. You're like, it's only 60 seconds now. So
Only 60?
Yeah.
Can I do it now? Ever had that where you like think you're a nat? You try it the first time, you're like, oh my God, I'm a natural, and you just get worse and worse at it the more you attempt it.
Yeah, you kind of just
Or is that just me?
Yeah, I know,
I'm
for
over
sure.
now.
Sure.
All right, or something like that.
Sweet.
Oh well.
Yeah, I think that was 2 minutes. So,
Yeah.
And you did it twice, so it's like 1 minute each.
And I mean, I still have the best time. I still do.
Yeah. So let me share screen. So where are we? So yeah, that last one was 2 minutes and 01. So
yeah,
your first one.
It's a clear regression.
The leaderboard, there you are. So we're gonna have to move Carl down. Joel Davis takes the lead.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Only the second, so that record I'm sure is gonna fall.
Yeah, we'll see.
Quickly.
It's kind of tough.
Next has had that much longer to prepare.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Awesome, Joel. This has been so good, man.
It's been
Cool.
great talking to you.
Yeah,
You want
man.
me to do like where can people find out more about what you do?
Oh yeah, for sure. Where can people find out more?
So you can check out JDs Joyrides.com for the e-bikes. If you're going to be in the Boulder area, I'd love to show you around. And otherwise, I've got a link tree. It's linktree, whatever, linktr.ee/TheVibrarian. And that's got a bunch of stuff. I'm on Instagram at TheVibrarian, Mixcloud at TheVibrarian. I'd say start with all of those, and
Go down
you'll
the
find a
rabbit
way
hole.
to your other stuff. You'll find other stuff. I've got a lot of stuff on Mixcloud, a lot of music up there. So check it out. Discover the music you didn't know you love. That's one of the things I'm here for, to help you with that.
That's awesome.
But
Great.
it's been awesome talking to you, Kim. Thanks for starting me down this bow tie road. I'm gonna have to buy a collared shirt first of all, and then get invited to something where I could, reasonably justify wearing a bow tie, which of course needs no justification. So
yeah, no,
I'll just
awesome,
get the
Joe.
collared shirt and go from there.
Cool, man. I'll see you soon.
Okay. All right. Take care.